Hi y'all, and welcome back to my channel. And welcome to probably what's the most consistent lighting I've had in a while. Obviously, as we can tell by the background, your girl is back in Virginia. I'm gonna be in Virginia for the next while coming up in the future as I decide and figure and apply to whatever nursing schools I'm gonna apply to. But for right now, while we're in this transitionary period, I am here with my parents. It hasn't got too blisteringly hot outside yet. I am sweating just a wee bit. Maybe it's a healthy glow, maybe it's perspiration. But I'm excited to be here, to be able to just do some filming. And today, as seems to be always the case, we are doing yet another anti-haul. It's actually kind of funny. I have one that I filmed in Tennessee before coming to Virginia, and that one isn't even edited yet, but already there's still more products for me to talk about. I mean, the whole anti-haul cycle, I feel, is something that's not gonna end anytime soon, because as you all know, I've been trying to do a less consumeristic approach on my channel, trying to do more commentary, trying to do more realistic content, while also supplying you all with some of that anti-consumeristic sassy rhetoric. I actually posted kind of an older one, I think last night, and so many of y'all were like, I love these anti-hauls, keep doing them! And that is honestly all the encouragement I need to keep on doing these, so that's what we're gonna do. And as always, with these videos, the products are number one going to be disgustingly belated, because if you didn't know then, you know now that your girl pre-films. I filmed this shiz, I edit it, I upload it, I have it up there so that I can just, on the days that I post, I just phew, phew, phew. I do not have the time, I do not have the resources to just film and then go down and then just have it out in the same day. So the products I talk about by the time the videos actually go up are usually older, but I've come to terms with that, honestly. And secondly, if I talk about a product that you absolutely love or that you absolutely plan on buying, that is fan-tucking-fastic. You keep doing you, boo-boo. I am not here to judge on any level. Spend your money how you want to spend your money, and I'm gonna spend mine how I don't want to spend mine, because we're trying not to spend money. But let's just go on in and talk about these products. Okay, the first of which we might as well talk about something that I actually want, and if I had the money capital to purchase it, I would. This shiz would be in my hot little hands tomorrow. And that is a release from Colourpop, which you all know, as much as I love Colourpop, Colourpop is also one of the brands that gives me the absolute most agita within the community. I love so much of their shiz, but at the same time, I'm why are you like this? Within the brands that I like and whatever, they are definitely the problem child, but amidst a very boring palette that they released for Ulta, they also released the High Tide and Fine Feathered palettes, which the Fine Feathered one is all rosy and pinky and reddy and pretty. And then the High Tide one is green, blue, teal sort of beautifulness. I saw that and I was like, I have a wig that would go abs, that matches that shiz perfectly. I need this in my life, but I actually don't, because I'm broke as all get out. But looking at that shiz, I was like, of all the obnoxiousness, of all the annoyingness, of all the stupid redundant things that Colourpop releases, I saw this and I was like, yes, finally, something small, something concise, just a little release, just an eyeshadow palette. You know, we don't have 12,000 glosses, 12,000 liners, super shock shadows, ultra glossy lips and blotted lips and whatever, just palettes. Just two really pretty, colorful, fairly well curated palettes. Now they are exclusive to Ulta, which I mean kind of frustrates me, because I'm I would like to buy them on the Colourpop site, pretty please. I am not sure about their palettes that are exclusive to particular places. I don't know if the quality is any different. Definitely, if any of y'all have purchased this shiz and used it, let me know how it is, because that High Tide one really effed me up. Y'all know your girl is a color lover. You all know your girl loves those smaller 9-pan monochromatic palettes from Colourpop. Those are some of my end-all, be-all, absolute shiznit. I'm wearing colors on my lids from one of them today. I'm actually wearing all Colourpop on my lids today. And so I would, if I had like just kind of, all like whatever, I don't know. I'm like, I could review them. I don't know if y'all would be interested in seeing that. Let me know down below. They're definitely something that I'm interested in, but I couldn't just, jump on into it because I'm just not financially able to do that right now. But boy, are they pretty. Okay, so we've talked about something that is more affordable. I believe those palettes were like $14 each, which isn't bad. I think Colourpop's prices have gone up a bit. I think their monochromatic palettes used to be $12. I could be wrong, but on a whole, their brand is relatively affordable. The same cannot be said for a new brand coming on the market. I actually had so many of y'all tag me in this shiz. Where you're like, have you seen this? Are you going to talk about it? Oh my goodness, I am ready for you to get so triggered with this. And that is talking about the makeup collection, the launch of Valentino makeup. Now, I used to be obsessed with designer duds, and I will admit that Valentino, especially Love Valentino, one of my absolute favorites. Gorgeous, beautiful designs, aesthetic. It was everything I wanted to be. Obviously, I couldn't, afford designer duds. And the ones that I have had have been like, secondhand consignment. We just ain't bopping up into Chanel and being like, I would like a bag, please. But if anyone out there wants to be my sugar daddy or my sugar mama, I won't say no. Hit me up. But y'all, I will admit, I saw this and the packaging is beautiful. It's this hot, intense pink with these bright gold logo graphics. I will say that they went pretty hardcore with that packaging. I think it's well done. I think it's beautiful. I think it is very on brand for the company. I think I was like, now that is some nice packaging. However, if you go past the packaging, I saw that and it was like Valentino. And I'm like, I'm going to anti-haul this shiz like nobody's business. Like I anti-haul every fashion house brands when they go into makeup. It's just not a thing I do. It's bougie, fancy. That's Michelle Wang's territory. I say it every time. I am not the demographic that these people are marketing towards. And with that being said, like I said, we're scrolling down and we're like, all right, whatever. And one of the main components of this new makeup line is a compact that can hold either a bronzer, a powder, or a blush. Just one powder, bronzer, or a blush, and a lipstick. And this compact is $243. I mean, does the compact come with the blush? I have no idea if that's a thing. Like, do you buy the compact and you're like, I'm buying this thing and I get to choose which thing goes in it, right? Like the makeup comes with the purchase price of the compact, right? For how much they charge them for it, I would certainly hope so. And I mean, I'm like 204. I mean, that's awful, ungodly amount of money for a compact, for, it's not even for like the quality of makeup, because you guys know I have some bougie overpriced makeup that I really enjoy. Viseart Grand Pro 3, Viseart Grand Pro 1, two of my absolute end all be all favorite palettes. They are formulated immaculately. But when I'm buying those with the Grand Pros, they're pretty big palettes. You get a lot of product in them. The eyeshadows are formulated what I consider to be immaculately. And I'm paying for the quality, or at least that's what I feel in my mind. And then when you go into this, and I'm like, oh, wow, that's really cute packaging. And they're like, yeah, it's $243. I mean, is it real gold? What is this shiz made out of? Did Valentino himself, which, no, he didn't. But, is it blessed by a certain deceased makeup someone? What have we put into this thing to make us think that it's worth that amount of money? Like, I'm okay paying if a formula is good, if something is the bomb diggity shiznit. One of y'all actually commented on the last anti-haul I did, but that's not an anti-haul I did where I talked about the Hermès blushes. And one of y'all were like, these are worth every single penny. I've tried Tom Ford. I've bought expensive blushes. I think someone said Pat McGrath. They're like, but the Hermès ones are really, really good. And that's someone I would trust more. I would trust one of y'all more than I would say certain beauty YouTubers. Like if Michelle Wang came on and were like, these are the end all be all diggity shiznit, I would be like, okay, I trust her. I know that she speaks with a lot of experience. So obviously not having tried these things, I can't come in and be like, oh, that the quality is terrible and it's stupid and they're overpriced. You know, I mean, but quality aside, you know, we've talked about Givenchy, we've talked about Jimmy Choo, you know, and it's like, what are we putting into these things aside from the fact that it's Valentino, that it's Dolce & Gabbana, that it's Tom Ford, that it's Hermès, that makes them worth that amount of money? I mean, at that point, with $230 or something dollars, at that point, I would take that money, go to a consignment shop, and maybe buy me a little bit of like Valentino, rather than being like, oh, well, I can't afford regular Valentino, so I'm gonna spend this much money on a makeup product by Valentino because it's Valentino, but I can't afford you know, at that price point, it might as well be the real stuff. And I think you can like wear it as a something, which the Sephora X Moschino collection tried to do. And I mean, it was okay. I can understand the aesthetic and what they were going for. But at the same time, what, $200 for this thing that you can put a blush, a powder, or a bronzer in? I mean, I don't need $243 Valentino compact because it's freaking Valentino. For $243, you go online, you do some consignment shopping and all that shiz, you can find something nice, some nice Valentino secondhand thing for that amount of money. And I would so much rather do that than spend way too much money on a makeup item that's got the Valentino branding on it that they think they can upcharge us so significantly just for the fact that it's Valentino. I mean, I think out of the majority of these things that I've talked about on my channel about the overpriced bougie makeup, this takes the cake. It's dumb, it's stupid, it's needless packaging and needless add-ons and excessiveness for the sake of it. You know, it's like, oh no, we can't do, you know, just the whatever. No, we gotta have the big ostentatious thing, which I understand. I'm gonna have someone down below. Well, you don't have to buy it. You can buy the powder and the blush and the bronzer singularly, so why are you trashing on it? You're stupid. Just the fact that it exists and is an option to purchase and that they think is a viable, good option, that alone is enough for me to sit here on my soapbox and tear this shiz a new one because I think it's dumb. Okay, let's talk about a brand that y'all know I don't purchase from. I don't like, Morphe, which, you know, we did do a Morphe palettes that I would buy if, you know, I didn't hate Morphe. And let's just say that this contraption here that they're trying to sell us would not be on that list. Morphe and all of its like cutting edge and all of its, you know, like futuristic ideas, they've decided to take us back to like early 2000s, and they are selling us the multi-palette stacks. I mean, if there was a company that did eyeshadow stacks well, it was Melt Cosmetics, and even they are acknowledging that those are kind of a big, clunky, outdated way to house your eyeshadow. Hence, in my opinion, why they're taking those iconic stacks and turning them into eyeshadow palettes instead, because it's a much more viable form. But Morphe was like, nay, no. We're gonna make these really cheap looking plastic things that kind of open up like this, and we got some eyeshadows up in them. And I was like, that's what we're doing. Okay, all right. If you want to do that shiz, then more power to you, but please best be advised that I am going to talk shiz about it, because does this not look the cheapest, the most childish, the most like awful throwback ever? Like, I'm getting like all kinds of crazy war like makeup flashbacks with this shiz. I'm like, oh no, applying eyeshadow with my finger, I ain't blending my shiz out. They just don't look like something that any of us asked for. They don't look like something that is really going to be very worthwhile or innovative. I feel it's like it's going to be one of those things where they're like, oh, we've released these color stories for this little fold out eyeshadow things. And then a couple months down the way, trend mood's going to be, oh, look at Morphe adding colors to these cute little iconic stacks. It's just a really outdated format that I don't think really has a place on the market right now. And I know I'm going to have someone down in my comments again going to be all like, well, people love to have their products that they take and they just throw in their bag and it's all like user friendly and compact and whatever. That's fine. If you want that shiz and you like doing that, you do you buy that shiz and you throw it in your bag. I am not, because I didn't buy, I have one stack that y'all sent me, which was the blueprint stack, but I am not going to be buying this, like, especially from Morphe. Morphe at this point, I mean, they're just, they're such a tired brand. I mean, they keep releasing 35 thus and such palettes and this and that and little 4-pan foldy outy. Just, does this shiz not look like Claire's makeup? Does this shiz not look like something, and maybe that's who they're marketing toward. Maybe this is an eyeshadow product for your preteen sister, cousin, niece, nephew, whatever. But for me, a grown, mostly adult, mostly woman, person, thing, I'm not buying it. I'm not doing it. I think it's dumb. I think it's just, I look at it and I'm like, no, I want off this train. My ticket has expired and it's time to go. All right, and then if we're talking about Morphe, we might as well talk about Morphe. And I'm less offended by this. I mean, I'm offended by it because of the marketing behind it. But for the first time in like forever, the color story isn't absolutely awful and ghastly. And that is going to be the Morphe 2021 addition to Pride. Now, Pride is very important to me as a biromantic, asexual, gender fluid person, you know. I take that very importantly as a part of who I am. And as such, I find it very, very funny. I will find the thing here where it's the Spider-Man thing and it's like June 1st hits and this guy's all like, I am somewhat of a homosexual myself. And that's all companies everywhere desperately attempting to appeal to the marketing demographic of all of us people in the LGBTQIA. If I miss something, I will put it up here to be correct. And it's kind of y'all know, y'all have heard me talk about this shiz again and again and again. I despise this type of marketing, especially when this type of marketing, I've been on TikTok and it's all like, woo, guys, you think like Target's Pride collection was awful? Come look at Walgreens. Come look at this travesty of a place, because apparently these people think that the merchandise we want marketed towards us is like awful, tacky, non-tailored rainbow suits and all of these really bad puns. It's like, no, we want real clothing. It's not a gimmick, you know? Pride Month, that's my thing. Pride isn't a gimmick. It's not a quirky Halloween costume. It's not a fun thing that you market for one whatever. It is a actual celebration of the beginning and the real start for rights for the LGBTQIA people. You know, it's something that's important and significant. And so many of these companies just treat it as this kitschy little rainbows marketing technique. And don't get me wrong, I love rainbows and shiz, but I like rainbows and shiz done well. So all of that aside, however, looking at the Morphe palette for 2021, I was slightly impressed. Not because it was anything that deserved being impressed about, but if you take into consideration the other trash and awful things that Morphe has released for Pride, looking at this color theory, it's not that offensive. If this shiz, I'm not gonna lie, if this was a big palette that was released by Colourpop, I would be tempted to buy it because it actually has some shades in it that look relatively interesting, that look kind of like, I'd like to put that on my eyelid and see what happens. And not only that, it's not just your stereotypical Roy G. Biv rainbow palette, which, like I said, don't get me wrong, I like that shiz, but I like my rainbows to have a depth of gradation, a depth of color theory so that I can actually get some concise looks rather than, oh, this is the palette I go for to just do like freaking rainbow makeup. I like something that's colorful. I like something that's inspiring. I like something that represents my soul. And they did have a really cute, this is how you know you're not gonna buy this shiz, and you know how they try to get you, because I was looking at it and I'm like, oh, look at that really pretty yellowy, grungy, sagey green color. I don't have a green like that in my collection, which I probably do, but in my mind, I don't have a green in my collection that's, you know, all with all these other colors. It's that pop effect. But I'm anti-hauling it because I don't like Morphe. I'm anti-hauling it because I can't, you know, trust their quality worth a darn. And I'm sure if I really wanted to, I could easily dupe this shiz out. Now that I'm here, I'm gonna be doing some not so much dupe videos, but some better than videos where I take eyeshadow palettes that I feel are a little bit lacking and I create my own versions of them. So stay tuned because that content is coming soon. All right, let's talk about two that kind of hurt, that kind of like, inside my makeup loving purchasing heart. I want these. I want these so freaking bad. I want to have them. I want to use them. I want to review them. I want to slather that shiz all over my face. And the first of which being something that I did give a little bit of an eye roll to. I was like, okay, all right, this is what we're doing. All right, okay. Anastasia Beverly Hills, which is a company that I've talked to being one that used to be my favorite and is kind of dwindling. It's also a company that I don't think is necessarily doing the best right now, but they decided, which, I mean, they haven't released hardly any eyeshadow palettes. I don't think they've really released anything recently that's been very viable. We had the Anastasia Mageddon of, I think it was it 2020 or 2019? One of those years where they released like 11 palettes in one year. We were like, slow your roll, you need to chill. And then they went from doing that to being like, we're not gonna release anything. And what they did release was like pitiful. So they're coming into the game with another Norvina Pro palette. Y'all know I have the 4. I really enjoy them. And I mean, I feel like I'm not entirely sure, firstly, how long they think they're going to be able, how many of these they think they're going to make, because Lorac made it to 4 with their Mega Pro palettes, and after that, people kind of stopped caring. And I also have, so this is the obviously the 5th one, and they're like, ooh, it's purple and it's futuristic. And I'm like, wasn't the first one, wasn't that one supposed to be purple themed? How much? I mean, I love purple, don't get me wrong, but like, I thought we already did that. How different can we make this Pro palette so that it has a significant difference from the first one? I believe the first one was like purpley and pinky and whatever. I have that one, so I haven't seen, as of filming this, they've only done like a shot of like 5 colors, and they're like, ooh. So I don't know what the entire layout is. Maybe I'll change my mind, but I have to remind myself that those Pro palettes are $60 each. They are not cheap palettes by any means. We're approaching like Natasha Denona price points up in here. And I guess it will depend on maybe how much money I have when it releases. It depends on the layout and everything like that. But as of right now, I'm like, do I really need another Pro palette? Do I really need another purple Pro palette when I already have the Pro palette with a bunch of purples in it? I mean, I would love for them if they could do a Pro palette that was like based on green. Oh my stars, I would lose my shiz. But seeing one that's just purple again, when we've had one that was very clearly purple themed, it just seems a little bit redundant. I enjoy the quality of the pigment palettes, but I'm just holding reservations about this because I don't know. It is a unknown territory that I'm not, going into right now. Now let's talk about a palette that in my inner, just the spending money on makeup I don't need with money I don't have, Soraya looks at this and is like, yep, that would be a candidate for that category going up in there. And that is the first ever eyeshadow palette from Patrick Ta. Now, if any of you don't know now, if any of you didn't know then, you know now. Patrick Ta's powder blushes is one of my absolute favorite end-all be-all blush formula. His glossy lipsticks are one of my absolute favorite formulas as well. I just absolutely advocate for them, absolutely stand by them. So I have a pretty good relationship with the company. He's released a lot of things that I haven't purchased, but he released this eyeshadow palette, and looking at it, I know. In my brain, in the rational side of my brain, I look at that and I'm like, that is basic AF, which isn't necessarily a bad thing. I've talked about, when brands are starting out, when brands have a certain aesthetic, they're going to skew towards something that's more neutral. That's not their fault. It's just, my personal preferences. Is it typically neutral? And if I am going neutral, I'm going like Melt Cosmetics Rust palette, Gemini palette, that kind of neutral, which isn't really neutral at all, but just skews very grungy. And this is just, it's a nice day-to-day, slightly smoke it up, slightly vamp it up a little bit, but not something that I really feel that if I were to bring it into my collection, I think it's something that I would use and it would sit there, and then I'd remember I have ones like this that I already love. Why did I bring another very simple, basic, neutral palette into my collection? And I would bring it in. I would have brought this shiz in just because it's an eyeshadow palette from Patrick Ta, and I'm like, I want to get my hands on that formula. I want to test that shiz out. I'm pretty sure there are a couple of people I love here on the platform that are going to probably review it or get it. And so I'll most definitely wait to see, what their review is and what they say about it. And also, it's got two cream shadows. Y'all know, I know it does have a little cute little plastic flap to keep that shiz from getting all whateverness, but y'all know I hate cream and powder products together. The only format that I'm slightly okay with it is the Natasha Denona Love palette, the Bloom and Glow, and the tan. Or bronze. The tan one, because the bronze one that was released with the bronze palette kind of sucked. And there were just so many things about this palette that they're not red flags, they're just more little pauses, little stop signs that are like, wait, come, slow your roll, come to a complete stop, take a moment to think about the eyeshadow palette objectively, remove Patrick Ta, remove the, idea of trying a new formula, and just look at it for the makeup that it is. And when I do that, I can look at this and be like, oh, it's a neutral palette with two cream products in it. That's really not in my wheelhouse. So there's that part of me that sees it and was like, oh, hello, Mr. Ta. Hello, aren't you sexy? And I'm sure this palette is a lot of people's end-all be-all shiznit, but, for me, the excessive amount of eyeshadow palettes the excessive amount of eyeshadow palettes I own. I brought all my shiz back from Tennessee, and I got 4 of the knockoff Alex stores from Michael's, and I got a bin over there filled with shiz that's not fitting in there, so I have to do a declutter because I have too much stuff. Now, when you think about that, it's just like, no, I'm good. You're cute. It'll be fun to see what people think about you, you know, if the formula is good, if he's gonna make a bang on the market with his eyeshadow formula. But just for me, and what I already have, and what I know I like, color-wise, I'm just like, just let it go. Just let it be. Let other people enjoy it and live vicariously through them. It's okay. You don't need it. You will survive. Those are all the products I have to talk to you guys about today. I've said it I don't know how many times in my videos. At this point with my YouTube, I am just trying to create content that I enjoy. You know, I'm tired of trying to do every little thing to just try to get, I don't know. I'm just sitting down here and I'm doing what I enjoy, and that's the point that we're at. So I hope that all of you did enjoy this anti-haul. Would love to hear what you have to say about the products down below, as well as something that you are anti-hauling for one reason or another. But thank you guys so much for watching. I love you, and as always, keep it real. Mwah!